and welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz, and this is From the Podium. With no game this weekend, the biggest excitement of the week was the announcement of who would be making the 53-man roster. Let's start with reactions from some of the new members of the roster, including that of wide receiver Dareke Young.
I was excited, happy that they decided to keep me here. This is where I want to be, and ready to get to it.
And now defensive lineman Myles Adams.
That was unbelievable. Didn't feel real yesterday, but it feels real today. And it's a blessing. Honestly, it's a blessing.
Next up, a fellow undrafted free agent in safety Joey Blount.
Definitely overwhelming, working for this since I was about 5-6 years old, taking the route that I took to get here. I took a moment of just reflection, just being proud, putting in the work, coming in undrafted, no combine, no senior bowl, just really, betting on myself and understanding the message that the coaches put out here. It doesn't matter where you came from or how you got here, but if you can help a team in any way, we want you here. So I bought into that message and just let my work speak for itself.
Here were Pete Carroll's comments on Blount and what helped him make the team.
Joey had a great camp. He just had a great camp, and he made plays in special teams, which was really where it started. I mean, it's a classic illustration of a guy, making some noise on teams. And so we look at him, to see, can he also support and help us when in a position? And he did a really good job at that as well. But I give it to him. It was special teams that really won him his spot.
Carroll spoke about the Seahawks' nose for talented undrafted free agents, a group which Blount falls into.
Yeah, what I've always looked for, the makeup of the kid and the mentality of the kid, and it doesn't really matter where you're drafted if you've got it. Joey and Josh, those guys are great examples of guys that just put their head down and competed their tails off. And they showed that, that they've got the right kind of makeup to help your club. And whereas they might not have the numbers or they might not have the place they came from or wherever that boosts their opportunity. These guys, fortunately for them, they were both healthy and stayed out there and were able to show us. And they played a lot in the games too. They got a lot of game time. Really, Greg, I'm always looking for those guys. And sometimes that makeup is more important than all the rest of it. And so that's what these guys stand for. I was really excited. As we talked to the guys today, everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story behind their background of where they came from and how it worked out for them and how this turned out. And those two guys, certainly have a unique story that leads them to being on an NFL roster. It's freaking great.
Joey, meanwhile, spoke about the hardest adjustment to NFL life.
So, the coaching staff helped me, adjust to that's the camaraderie aspect. The NFL is a business. And in college, you get 4 years with guys that you kind of grow as a man with. The brotherhood is strong, but with the NFL, you have guys coming in and out. So for me, being a social guy, being a locker room guy, all about brotherhood. It was kind of a change for me to just adjust with guys coming in and out and just making sure everyone's, mentalities or their intentions are pure, because you don't want to, unfold your whole basket and people use it against you. It's a business, and that's why I was warned. So I came in weary. At the same time, I think that was my biggest adjustment. We had, during the Pittsburgh game, I want to say, we had a guest speaker come in and talk to us saying that this is a child's game. They pay you a king's ransom. And that's something that's been on my mind constantly. And that football doesn't change. It gets more serious, more detailed, but it's still the same game I've been playing since I was 5-6 years old. At the end of the day, something that I had to adjust with was just more the business aspect of, this is like my first job. Playing football is my first job. So just trying to understand and maneuver and circumvent through that.
Here's what Dareke Young, a 7th-round pick in this year's NFL draft, found to be the biggest adjustment.
I would say the speed, not necessarily like the speed of the players, but like pretty much like everybody, are film geeks. So like they know where things are going to be before it happens, so they get there pretty fast. But I would definitely say that's the biggest difference.
Young also shared his reaction to the starting quarterback announcement and his expectations for the upcoming season.
It was a good reaction. I feel like we knew that it was going to come down to the end, but we had faith in both the quarterbacks. We felt like you couldn't go wrong with either one because we got trust in both of them. But it was definitely a good reaction, and we feel like we're in good hands. I feel like we could accomplish a lot. We're an underdog to pretty much everybody, and we're pretty much, taking advantage of that. And I feel like we have great leaders and great coaches, and if you put that all together, we'll have a really good season.
Here were head coach Pete Carroll's comments on the Lenoir-Rhyne product.
He never looked like anything but a guy that belonged, regardless of where he came from, and few of us know where Lenoir-Rhyne is, and he just never looked like that. He looked like he belonged right from the day one. He's physically really fit. He's a big, strong kid, fast. He ran routes better than we thought he would. He was clean in and out of his breaks. He's been strong at the catch. He's had, sometimes he needs to work on his catching football a little bit better, but it's not because of he can't catch it. It's just because situations and getting banged around or whatever. But he's more than that. He's also a special teams guy. He's a really good blocker, and it really matters to him to be a physical player. And it showed up, and we just really liked him early on. And it was just, is he going to be able to hold it throughout camp? And he did. The quarterbacks know that he's out there. He's going to make the good, strong catches, and we know in the running game that he's going to be a factor too. So we're excited about what he's done. Yeah, and then it was almost poetic, that he goes out there and gets whipped and struggles and misses a tackle and touchdown pass on a bust, and all that right off the bat. It was like, even in that game, it was kind of like, okay, so this is what it could be like, let's fix everything up and get back to work, and which he did in that game in particular. He came right back at it, and then we played him a lot, so he got a lot of reps and all through the 3 games, and he's been out here going against Marquise and going against DK and going against Tyler. He's hung in with all those guys, and those guys are as fast or as good as, and as really diverse kind of talent that you can go against. He's ready to go.
Of course, with the depth at wide receiver in training camp, not everyone was as lucky to make the roster. 2020 6th-round pick Freddie Swain was cut.
Guys at the spot was a really competitive position. Freddie's a heck of a kid, and we love the kid. And there's tough choices we have to make, but the competition is really that which settles that, for us. And other guys did a good job.
2019 2nd-round pick Marquise Blair was also released from the team after training camp.
Yeah, he's a really good ball player and a tough kid and all that. In one sense, it's hard to break in here. We've got really good players, and he's a guy that wants to play the game and as much as anybody, very intense about it. And so this really gives him an opportunity to have a chance to start somewhere. So, he's a nice ball player, man. He's tough as hell, and we loved him. So we're wishing the very best, and the door's always open.
Unlike Swain and Blair, Bo Melton was cut, but then re-signed to the practice squad.
Yeah, Bo had a good, he had a good preseason for us. Showed a lot of really good stuff, and we'll hope that we're not done working with Bo Melton.
And speaking of the practice squad, let's hear from some of the other players outside of Seahawks training camp who were nabbed off waivers, including quarterback Sean Mannion, most recently of the Vikings, but spent time with the Seahawks last preseason.
There was a couple of different options, that was potentially one of them, but I had such a positive experience here, obviously last year, and the opportunity presented itself. It was a unique opportunity, to come back to a system that I'm very familiar with and coaches that I feel like I worked really well with. Get to work with Gino and Drew and, be close to home, be close to family and stuff like that. So it was a unique opportunity. I love my time in Minnesota. It's hard moving on, but 3 years there and loved all my teammates, loved all my coaches. It was a super positive experience for me, but I'm excited to be here.
Mannion shared a bit about what he learned about Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith when he was with the team last year.
Just a great guy. Real even keel. He's never too high, never too low. He's focused. He's a great thrower of the football. You can tell just his mechanics, and he's accurate. So it was great to work with him. And I'm excited to be out there with him again.
And we told you this past week the Seahawks would be looking for some linebacker depth. And yes, they picked up linebacker Darrell Johnson, who was just cut by the Carolina Panthers.
It happens fast. Before you know it, I was on the plane. The plane ride was so long. Different time zones. I'm still trying to get used to it. I'm drained right now, but, I'm blessed to be at work today.
Johnson, who attended North Carolina A&T, spoke about his pride at becoming one of the handful of NFL players to have attended an HBCU.
It means a lot. It means a lot because, coming from an HBCU, you really don't get too many chances. And, for me, and I'm still doing it, this is my 4th year, it's a blessing to, show guys that was in my circumstances that you can do it.
Let's wrap things up with a slew of injury updates, including with what might be a bit of an emotional wound for quarterback Drew Lock.
He's disappointed, but I know he knows how we think of him, and now we trust that he's got a big future and all that, and he knows, by the way, we've dealt with him from the start and coached him throughout, and really taken him all the way through to this point. He's got a big time future, so he sees that, and he's optimistic, about it, as we are.
Now on to all things physical, starting with running back Ken Walker.
Ken, this is a really uncharted territory for him and for us too, in that regard, that, what he's coming back from. He feels way better. He's moving around. He's throwing the football around today. It's just going to be one day at a time. I told him I'd start punching him in the stomach here pretty soon, a couple days from now to get him ready.
Next up, fellow second-rounder Boye Mafe.
He was running today. He was out there. He's in pretty good shape to make a bid for coming back, 2 weeks from now. So it looks promising that he'll be okay.
Keeping things on defense, let's move on to Alton Robinson.
He's still sore. He's not back yet. He's got a chance to make it by the opener, but it's not able to go yet. Not able to run around. I think he's in the pool and stuff like that.
And what's the latest on cornerback Sidney Jones?
Sidney's not. He's not. They won't let him practice yet. He feels fine. He can run and do everything, but he hasn't been cleared yet. So he's still getting cleared from the docs.
John Reed is another corner currently out.
He aggravated his soft tissue thing, and so we'll have to wait and see how he goes. He's not going to be ready. He's not ready to practice today.
Also missing from the secondary, safety Ryan Neal.
He's really close. He's really close. He thinks he can go. We've got to see, and you have to prove it, of course. Probably not till next week, though.
On the offensive line, left guard Damian Lewis seems to be doing well.
Damian is doing well, quite well. He's running in the pool and doing some stuff, and he's really encouraged that he's going to be able to make it back. We'll see. Got to see it. That's what the player's thinking.
Meanwhile, right tackle Jake Curran has picked up a minor ailment.
Jake's tough as nails, and I can't imagine that's going to hold him from being part of the game opening night. But he's going to miss a couple days here.
That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks to Wilson Kahn for helping to produce this episode. Follow him out on Twitter at Wilson_Kahn, CONN. You can follow me out on Twitter at SeahawkersPod. And for those of you in the flock, especially those of you in at the 12-12 level and above, we're going to be doing an exclusive interview to our Facebook Ring of Honor group. Of course, that interview is going to be in the podcast feed after it happens. But if you want to see it as it goes down, all our members of the flock at $12 and above in our Facebook group will get a chance to be there first. GetInTheFlock.com. Lots to come this upcoming season. Of course, we have our Pick'em League. Go to SeahawkersPodcast.com. Click on the Pick'em League link, and you can become a part of our Pick'em League. We'll be giving away prizes throughout the season. Always some fun stuff to give away for those winners of every week. Thanks for tuning in to today's show, and until next time, go Hawks.